Jesus knows what it's like to be in a circumstance you'd rather not be in. I'm glad he knows what it's like to be somewhere where it's uncomfortable, something where he can relate to you and I. He does know what that storm is like that you and I were just talking about. He does know what it's like to be in a position where he's got to drink a cup that he wished never would have came by his way, wish never would have had to be this way. And I see this great struggle in the text, and I too know what it's like to be in a place that I rather not be. I could probably talk about many, but I will talk about Marine Corps boot camp, Cameron. I know what it's like to be in a position I would rather not be. When we went in the Marine Corps boot camp, they had these, you're in a squad bay, just a big rectangular building, and on that squad bay, there's a yellow line painted down on the ground, okay? The yellow line, and you stand on that yellow line at the position of attention. Behind that yellow line's a foot locker. Foot lockers are just a wood box that you lock with a lock, and all of your stuff, your clothes and toiletries and whatnot's in that box. Everything you got for the next 3 months. Behind that is bunk beds, and they're all identical. And on this side of the squad bay looks like that, and then they're on the other side of the squad bay has the exact same thing. And we're all lined up, about 60 of us, I guess, if you will. I was number 42, and we're lined up there, and these drill instructors walk out of a door, a side door they called the DI hut, and they walked out there and stood at the quarterdeck, they called it, in front of everybody at the squad bay. Now, we've been there for about 4 days, okay? And when you're there for about 3 or 4 days, you finally meet the drill instructors that are going to train you for the next 3 months. And when they walked out there, this is kind of your introduction to them. Now, for 3 or 4 days, and they are Marines that can vouch, they don't give you much sleep and they don't give you much to eat. They gave us a frozen lunch that had been thawed out since the morning, and by the time you got it, the inside of that cheese and ham sandwich was still froze. You just ate the soggy bread around it. And so when you ain't got sleep and you ain't got food, you're a little delirious already anyway, you understand? So these 4 guys show up and come out front, and one of them's got a black belt on, and 3 of them have a green belt on. We just called them black belt and green belt, but the black belt's your senior drill instructor. He come out and he said he was going to be our daddy. Now, I had a dad, okay? He just talked about him. He wasn't acting nothing like this guy. I would hate to be this man's child. That's all I can tell you. He said, I'm going to be your daddy, and anything you need, just come. And if anybody in here has a flashback, please see the security guard on the closest exit, okay? Do not come up this way. I promise you that. But he come out there and said, I'm going to make you a Marine. We're going to do whatever needs to be done to make you a Marine. Okay, it sounded pretty cool. You know, we're standing in our position of attention. Well, he turned around. And he looks at those 3 green belts, and he says these words, and still to this day, as a 43-year-old man, this is 20 years ago, I still wish he'd have never said this. He looked and he said, handle your recruits. And he left and went out the door and shut that door. When he shut that door, those 3 men lost their mind right in front of us. They started throwing everything that wasn't anchored down. They were throwing themselves. They were throwing people. They were throwing bunks and footlockers. If it wasn't nailed down, brother, it was getting thrown. They were losing their mind. I'd love to tell y'all this is Hollywood, okay? I'd love to tell y'all I'm Rambo, all right? Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know what era you grew up in. I would love to tell you that this is Hollywood, but this ain't Hollywood. This is real life. And when those guys started losing their mind, I was standing there going, oh my goodness, I'm ready to go home. I ain't been there 4 days. I'm like, what in the world am I doing here? I mean, I didn't want to be there. Those men were so crazy. I mean, they started going nuts, and then they came over and found somebody's footlocker unlocked. And when you can't have no footlocker unlocked, okay? So when they saw that footlocker unlocked, they's like, oh good, oh good. This recruit wants to leave his footlocker unlocked. Ain't that a good idea? Everybody unlock your footlockers right now. We went back there and unlocked that footlocker as fast as we could and opened them up. He took that one that left it unlocked. He picked it up. He come out in the middle. He dumped it all in the floor in the middle of that squad bay. He started kicking around and dancing inside their clothes and everything. He said, everybody else, dump your stuff right in the middle with it. So we did what we were told. We dumped our stuff in the middle, and those 3 lunatics began to dance around and kick our clothes all around. And they said, all right, now you got 60 seconds to get everything back in your footlocker. There's a problem. Everybody's got the same colored clothes. Everybody's got the same socks. Everybody's got the same t-shirt. Brother, I had underwear that I found that I was so big, I put both arms out in that underwear and was wearing it like that. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm trying to get my stuff. They said you got 60 seconds, and they don't count like a normal human being. They're like 60, 50, 40, 28, 7. I mean, you're trying to get it all back in there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was standing there going, I want to go home. Listen to me. I know what it's like to be in a circumstance I'd rather not be in. You know that it was my decision to be there. And then when I got put in what was necessary to make me be what I wanted to be, I kind of thought like, man, this ain't what I signed up for. But you know you don't get to wear the uniform unless you go through the process. You know you don't get to be the Marine unless you finish and receive the title.